Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I am your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. You can follow the show on Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod. You can email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. And folks, back again this week. This is my busy time, my second busiest time of the year. I work in college housing and ending the year and students moving out, and it's the second busiest time of the year, followed by August, which is the busiest time of the year when the students move back in. And I've reached the point, folks, I love all my students, but how can I miss you if you won't go away? And so they've got to go away for me to miss them. If you like the show, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I would really appreciate it, and it helps people to find the show. Today we look at Battleground 2016 from the WWE. Battleground 2016 was shown on the WWE Network on July 24th, 2016, 4 days after my wedding day, folks. So, celebrations all around, I guess. It was shown from the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C. There were 15,109 people in attendance. We start out with our WWE intro, and then our Battleground intro. Charlotte Flair and Dana Brooke versus Sasha Banks and Bayley. Michael Cole, JBL, and Byron Saxton are introduced, and the Spanish announce team is then introduced. The WWE draft was just reinstated, so there will be a lot of talk about that on this show, about where certain wrestlers and championships are going. The German announce team is introduced. The crowd goes crazy when Bayley is introduced and comes out. A Bayley chant goes out. Flair and Brooke attack Banks and Bayley before the bell. Flair and Brooke attack Banks and Bayley before the bell. That is a lot of alliteration there, folks. Tongue twister time, I guess. They knock them off the apron to the floor, to the boos of the crowd. Flair runs Bayley into the barricade. Bayley into the barricade. This is just a tongue twister of a match, isn't it? Brooke and Flair then get Bayley into the ring and beat her down with forearms. Referee Mike Chioda tries to get the women separated so that he can start the match. The bell rings and Flair is right back on Bayley with forearms as Banks gets back on the apron. Flair starts chopping Bayley in the corner. Bayley comes back with a kick to the face and a springboard elbow to Flair, and Banks tagged in. Banks with forearms to Flair in the corner, and Flair keeps pushing Banks off. Banks goes for a monkey flip out of the corner, but Flair grabs her and puts Banks on the top turnbuckle. Banks then kicks Flair away. Banks with the flying head scissors to take Flair down. Banks then knocks Brooks off the top rope. Flair with a kick to the midsection and runs Banks into the middle turnbuckle. Banks falls out of the ring. Flair comes out after Banks and screams, "I'm the boss," to her. She hits Banks and then throws her back into the ring. Flair gets a 2 count. Flair with a front face lock brings Banks over to the corner, and Brooke tagged in. Brooke pulls Banks out of the corner and gets a 2 count. Brooke transitions to a rear chin lock. Bayley trying to get the crowd into the match. Banks gets back to her feet and runs Brooke into the second rope. Banks trying to make it to the corner to tag Bayley in, and Brooke grabs her by the boot. Banks slaps Brooke down and tags Bayley in. Bayley with a series of moves to Brooke. Bayley goes up to the second rope, but Flair comes down the apron to distract Bayley, allowing Brooke to yank her off the rope. The back of Bayley's neck bounces off the turnbuckle. Brooke with shots to Bayley on the mat and a cover for a 2 count. Brooke with her knee into Bayley's back and stretching Bayley's arms back for a submission, but Bayley won't give up. Brooke then gets Bayley into the corner so Brooke can run her shoulder into Bayley. A "Let's Go Bayley" chant goes out from the crowd. Bayley grabs the leg and rolls Brooke up for a 2 count. Brooke runs Bayley face first into the mat. Brooke then gets a leg lock on Bayley's throat in the corner in an impressive move. She breaks on the 3 count. A double clothesline in the center of the ring. Both Flair and Banks tagged in, and Banks knocks Flair down several times. Banks then with a drop kick to Flair. Banks catches Flair's leg when Flair is trying to kick her and delivers a knee to Flair's face. Banks rushes Flair in the corner, brushes Flair's legs out of the way and delivers double knees to the midsection and gets a 2 count. Banks goes up top, kicks Brooke away when she rushes Banks from the apron. and then Banks with a crossbody to Flair for another 2 count. Banks goes for the backstabber to transition into the Banks statement, but Flair holds on to the ropes and then delivers natural selection to Banks. Bayley breaks up the pin attempt. Brooke comes in and throws Bayley out of the ring. Brooke goes out to the floor, but slips and lands face first. Flair goes for the figure 8, but Banks grabs Flair and counters into the Banks statement. Brooke pulls Flair out of the ring to save her and the crowd boos. Bayley with a kick to Brooke through the ropes to knock Brooke down, only to get knocked down herself by Flair. Flair gets back into the ring, and Banks hits her with the backstabber into the Banks statement. Flair trying to hold on, but finally taps. They replay what just happened. Banks signals that she wants Flair's title. Bayley and Banks embrace after the match. Flashback to the issues the Wyatt family and the New Day have been having. 6-man tag. The New Day, Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods versus the Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Braun Strowman. New Day comes out talking about being drafted to Raw as a group and the Wyatt family being split up. They get interrupted by the Wyatt family's music. The referee trying to get things going as the New Day Rocks chant goes out. Big E and Strowman start. But before they lock up, Woods tagged in. They talk about Woods being mesmerized by the Wyatt family recently on SmackDown. When Woods gets in, Wyatt quickly tags in. They are about to lock up, but Kingston quickly tags in and hits Wyatt with a dropkick. Strowman back in and Woods still in the ring, almost frozen in fear. Kingston tells him to get out of the ring before Strowman grabs Kingston and tosses him into a corner. Kingston comes out of the corner, only to get met with a big boot from Strowman. Strowman follows that up with a corner whip and a splash. Rowan tagged in, and Strowman holds Kingston for Rowan to hit. Rowan with a scoop slam and a running shoulder to the prone Kingston. He gets a 1 count. Rowan holds Kingston and drops a series of elbows to the top of Kingston's head. Rowan with a headlock and a head vice on Kingston, while the announcers talk about Woods looking petrified on the outside. Kingston back to his feet and hits Rowan with a series of elbows to get out of the hold. He rushes Rowan, only to get hit with a wicked-looking clothesline. Wyatt tagged in and starts attacking Kingston. He hits a running senton on Kingston. He gets a 2 count. Wyatt switches to a headlock on Kingston. Kingston gets back to his feet and hits a jawbreaker to get out of the move. Wyatt hits a wicked-looking clothesline to knock Kingston down. Wyatt then stares down Woods, so Woods goes down to the floor, off the apron, and the mind games that Wyatt is playing with Woods is the story of this match so far. Woods and Wyatt just staring at each other. Strowman tagged in and choking Kingston down in the corner with his knee and breaking on the 3 count. He gets Kingston back down in the Wyatt family's corner, starts choking him on the ropes with his knee again, and Rowan tagged back in. This match has been all Wyatt family so far. Rowan stomping Kingston down in the corner, and then goes after the referee when he tries to stop it. Woods tagged in. He gets Kingston in the corner and goes to charge, but Kingston gets his legs up and Wyatt runs into them. Kingston then on the ropes and Wyatt rushes him again, and Kingston sends Wyatt to the outside. Strowman goes to the outside and grabs Wyatt as Kingston tries to get to his own corner to tag. Rowan and Big E both tagged in, and Big E with a series of clotheslines. Big E ducks a clothesline attempt and hits Rowan with a belly-to-belly suplex. He follows that up with a splash to Rowan. Strowman gets up on the apron. Big E goes after him, and Rowan takes advantage and rolls Big E up for a 2 count. Big E comes back with an overhead belly-to-belly. Big E covers, but Strowman breaks up the count. Woods comes in to help Big E and just gets manhandled down by Strowman. Rowan tries to roll Big E up while the referee is trying to get Strowman out. Big E holds onto the ropes though. Wyatt comes up to hit Big E and Rowan follows that up with a big side slam to Big E, but Kingston breaks up the cover. Strowman comes back in the ring and throws Kingston into a corner. He follows that up with a big boot, but Kingston ducks and Strowman goes over the top rope to the floor. Kingston runs and launches himself over the top rope onto Strowman. Kingston gets up on the apron and Big E tags him in. Big E tries to get Rowan up on his shoulder, but can't, and Rowan runs Big E's shoulder first into the corner post. Kingston comes and drop kicks Rowan from behind to drive him into the second turnbuckle. Wyatt tagged in. Kingston goes for trouble in paradise, but Wyatt ducks it. Wyatt goes for Sister Abigail, but Woods breaks that up. Woods and Wyatt again staring at each other in the ring. Woods starts slowly sinking to his knees. Kingston goes for a crossbody to Wyatt, but gets caught and Wyatt knocks Kingston to the ground. This seems to break the hold that Wyatt had on Woods as Wyatt hits Kingston with a chokeslam. Kingston falls out of the ring and Woods attacks Wyatt with a series of left and right hands. Woods runs and takes Wyatt down with a dropkick. The crowd is getting behind Woods. Woods with a running forearm to Wyatt in the corner. He follows that up with more left and right hands until Wyatt pushes him off. Wyatt backdrops Woods to the apron, and Woods responds with an enziguri to the face of Wyatt. Woods with a splash to Wyatt. Rollin comes in and Woods super kicks him to the outside. Strowman gets up on the apron and Woods hits him with a series of strikes to try to knock Strowman off the apron, and Strowman grabs Woods by the throat. Big E comes and spears Strowman through the ropes to the floor to break up the hold. Wyatt does his backwards crawling thing to freeze Woods in his tracks. Wyatt ducks a running boot by Woods and goes for Sister Abigail. Wyatt hits it and pins Woods. The crowd is stunned that the Wyatt family won. We get a swerved commercial. United States Championship match. Rusev with Lana versus Zack Ryder. Some of the international announce teams are introduced. Ryder rushes Rusev a couple of times and Rusev takes him down with some waist locks. Rusev transitions into a front face lock. He gets a 1 count. Ryder up and Rusev comes back with a takeover. Another kick out by Ryder and Rusev goes back to the front face lock. Ryder up and Rusev forces him into the corner. Rusev breaks and Ryder comes back with a series of forearms to Rusev. Ryder gets back and Rusev rushes him only to get hit with the back elbow by Ryder. Ryder then rolls to the outside. Rusev comes out after Ryder, who runs around the ring and quickly gets back in, forcing Rusev to chase him. As Rusev comes around, Ryder kicks him in the face with a double kick through the ropes. Ryder throws Rusev back in the ring. Ryder with a flurry of offense on Rusev. Ryder goes for a missile dropkick from the second rope, but Rusev moves out of the way. Rusev kicks Ryder on the back of the neck. Rusev then gets on top of Ryder and starts punching him in the face. Ryder covers up, but Rusev doesn't stop punching. He gets up and finishes with a stomp on Ryder. Ryder up only to get hit with a spinning heel kick from Rusev. Rusev gets a 2 count. He transitions to a waist lock. Ryder won't give up. Ryder makes it back to his feet as the crowd is clapping, trying to encourage Ryder. Ryder with a back elbow to Rusev. Ryder with a series of elbows, and Rusev responds with a knee to the stomach. Rusev rushes Ryder in the corner, but Ryder moves out of the way. Ryder with a series of forearms to Rusev. He then gets Rusev down in the corner. Ryder goes for the broski boot, but Rusev catches his foot as he comes in. Ryder hits Rusev with his right hands, only to get dropped by a knee from Rusev. Rusev goes for a suplex, and Ryder counters with a neck breaker to Rusev. That was a pretty cool move. Ryder hits the broski boot and gets a 1 count. Rusev goes to the outside and Ryder follows. He rushes Rusev, who pivots and runs Ryder into the barricade. Rusev picks Ryder up and drops him on the barricade. Rusev breaks the count before going back out after Ryder. He rushes Ryder, who was still in the barricade. Ryder falls backwards and Rusev hits the barricade shoulder first. Ryder then climbs on top of the barricade and hits Rusev with a missile drop kick. The double count going. Rusev up and throws Ryder into the ring. He then gets into the ring himself, only to get caught with the Rough Rider by Ryder. Ryder then goes up top for an elbow drop, but Rusev gets his knees up. Rusev then kicks Ryder in the back of the head. Rusev gets Ryder in the accolade. Ryder fighting it and the crowd gets behind Ryder. He almost breaks the hold, but Rusev cinches it on deeper and goes backwards, so Rusev is on the mat and Ryder taps. Rusev keeps attacking Ryder after the bell. Mojo Rawley, Ryder's tag team partner from NXT as one half of the Hype Bros, comes out and gets in Rusev's face. He's screaming at Rusev, who just stares at Rawley. Rusev gets out of the ring. Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon are shown talking in the back, and they get interrupted by Seth Rollins. They tell him tonight is his chance to prove that he's the best and the reason that they picked him number 1 overall. Rollins says he doesn't have to prove anything. He's here to take back a title that he never lost. He says when he wins the title and brings that title back to Raw, the entire world is going to sing his praises. The announcers preview the Sami Zayn-Kevin Owens match coming up and the history between the two. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Zayn comes out fired up. Owens comes out looking all business. Both wrestlers out wearing black and red as the announcers talk about how alike they are. The bell rings and Zayn goes for the haluva kick right away, but Owens gets out of the ring before Zayn can hit it. Zayn comes out after Owens and the two go at it with fists to each other on the outside. Owens runs Zayn into the barricade. Owens then goes in to break the count before rolling out again. Zayn reverses an Irish whip to run Owens into the barricade. Zayn gets Owens back up and then Irish whips Owens into another barricade. He follows that up with a clothesline to Owens. Zayn then throws Owens back into the ring. He runs his shoulder into Owens' midsection and hits a spinning heel kick to Owens. He covers Owens, but only gets a 1 count. Back and forth in the center of the ring. Owens reverses an Irish whip, drops his head, and Zayn kicks him in the face. Zayn grabs Owens' hand and goes to the top rope for a move, but Owens yanks his hand away and Zayn lands on the top rope. Owens then hits a cannonball to Zayn in the corner. He gets a 2 count. Owens up and kicking Zayn. Zayn up, so Owens starts chopping him and knocks Zayn back down. He gets a 2 count. Owens starts stomping Zayn and crushes his boot down on Zayn's hand as Owens is mocking the crowd. Owens gets Zayn in the front face lock and starts mocking the Ole chant that Zayn and the crowd do when Zayn comes out. They each block a suplex attempt, so Owens drops Zayn down on the top rope. He falls out with a kick to Zayn's back. He then runs and kicks Zayn in the face. He then does a senton, but doesn't get all of it as Zayn tries to get out of the way. Owens with a 2 count. Zayn trying to get away, but Owens grabs him and hits a snapmare. He goes to kick Zayn again, but changes his mind and puts on a headlock instead. The referee checking on Zayn as Owens screams for Zayn to give up. Zayn fights back to his feet as a Sammy chant goes out. Owens doesn't let go of the hold and pulls Zayn back down to the mat. He then mocks the Sammy chant. Zayn hitting Owens in the face trying to get him to let go. Owens hits Zayn in the face to get him back down prone on the mat. The referee asks Zayn if he wants to give up and Owens says that Zayn does, but Zayn says no. Zayn fighting back to his feet as the crowd claps to get behind him again. Zayn up to his feet and he and Owens exchange some blows. Owens knocks Zayn to his knees and runs to the ropes, but Zayn up and hits Owens with a clothesline to knock Owens down. Owens rushes Zayn again only to get caught with a Michinoku driver for a 2 count. Owens rolls to the floor. Zayn goes to run the ropes, but Owens grabs his leg before he can. Zayn was dragged out to the floor by Owens. Owens goes to powerbomb Zayn on the apron, but Zayn grabs the ropes before Owens can hit the powerbomb. Zayn up and hits a modified split leg moonsault to Owens, but Zayn also hits the apron shoulder first and appears to have injured his shoulder. Hardly seems worth it to me. Zayn back to his feet on the outside. He is holding his arm and shaking it to make sure that it is okay. Owens grabs the arm and slams it up against the ring post several times. Owens then puts Zayn back in the ring and goes to clothesline him, but Zayn ducks the attempt and hits Owens with a blue thunder bomb. He gets a close 2 count. Zayn up and goes out to the apron and he is still holding on to his arm. Zayn goes up top, but gets caught by Owens. Owens looks to be going for a superplex, but Zayn punching Owens to try to prevent it. Zayn headbutting Owens, who is responding with blows to Zayn's midsection. Owens falls down. Zayn goes for a move, but Owens is back to his feet, so Zayn rolls through after he jumps off. He runs into a super kick from Owens. Owens gets a 2.5 count. Owens gets the crossface on Zayn. Zayn struggles but manages to get to his foot on the bottom rope to force the break. Owens hits a corner clothesline on Zayn. He goes to do it again, only to get hit with an exploder suplex in the corner from Zayn. Zayn then goes for the haluva kick, but Owens rolls to the outside. Zayn goes up top, but Owens up on the apron and grabs Zayn. It looks like Owens may have been going for a rolling senton off the apron, but Zayn hits him with elbows to get out of the move. Zayn hits a brainbuster to Owens on the apron. A double count going. A "This is awesome" chant goes out. Zayn back in the ring at 5, but collapses in the middle of the ring. Owens just beats the count to get back in the ring. Zayn up and hitting some shots to Owens with the bad arm. Back and forth in the center of the ring, and dueling chants go out. Zayn gets the better of the exchange as he beats Owens down, and Owens covers up. Owens rolls to the outside and falls on the apron. Zayn comes out and goes for the spinning tornado DDT through the ropes on the outside, but as he goes for it, Owens hits him with a super kick. Owens follows that up with a cannonball to Zayn in the corner, and then hits a frog splash. He hesitates for a second and then gets a 2 count. Owens goes for the pop-up powerbomb, but Zayn holds onto the ropes and then grabs Owens by the hand and hits the tornado DDT off the ropes. Zayn goes for the haluva kick again, only to get caught with another super kick from Owens. Owens goes for the pop-up powerbomb, but Zayn leaps over Owens and hits 2 underhook suplexes to get another 2 count, and Zayn can't put Owens away. The audience gives both men a standing ovation. Zayn setting up for the haluva kick again, and the fans doing the yes chant. Owens catches Zayn with a pop-up powerbomb and covers Zayn, who gets his foot under the bottom rope. Owens doesn't know what he has to do to put Zayn away, as the "This is awesome" chant goes out again. Zayn on his knees struggling to get up when Owens grabs him by the head and screams, "Why won't you stay down?" He then slaps Zayn. Owens says, "Don't make me do this. Stay down," and slaps Zayn again. He says, "Stay down," and Zayn slaps him back this time. He rushes Zayn, who hits an exploder suplex into the corner. Then another one into the opposite side, and Zayn setting up for the haluva kick again. He hits it and catches Owens as he is out on his feet. He props Owens back into the corner and hits another haluva kick and gets the pin. This has been the match of the night so far. Renee Young in the pay-per-view kickoff panel talked about what we've seen so far and what's coming, and showed Breezango beating the Usos on the kickoff show. Submission match, Natalya versus Becky Lynch. They show flashbacks to what led up to the match. Natalya goes to attack Lynch as she tries to get into the ring, and Lynch has the referee keep Natalya back so that Lynch can take off her jacket and get in the ring. Bell rings and they lock up. They battle for position and drive to the ropes. They finally break on the 3 count, but Lynch rushes Natalya before she can get out of the ropes, and the referee grabs Lynch before she can get to Natalya again in order to allow Natalya a chance to get out of the ropes. Natalya tells the referee to keep Lynch away. Lynch ducks a clothesline attempt and takes Natalya down with a waistlock. Natalya keeps getting up, but Lynch keeps the waistlock on to keep taking Natalya down. Natalya gets to the rope to break the hold. Natalya then rolls to the outside to regroup. Natalya then tells the referee to keep Lynch back so that Natalya can get back in the ring. She does get back in the ring and takes Lynch down. She only gets a 1 count. Natalya argues with the official, only to get rolled up from behind by Lynch for a 2 count. Lynch with an arm drag to Natalya and then a drop kick. Natalya rolls back to the outside to regroup. Natalya gets distracted by the fans outside and Lynch hits her with a baseball slide. Lynch follows that up with a running forearm to Natalya from the apron. Lynch throws Natalya back in the ring and Natalya rolls right back out and Lynch says, "Oh, come on." Lynch comes out to the apron and Natalya grabs her by the leg and knocks Lynch down. Natalya has Lynch caught up in the apron and pounding Lynch in the knee as Lynch tries to fight to get out. Natalya then runs Lynch into the ring steps. Lynch falls down and grabs her knee as Natalya taunts the crowd. Natalya throws Lynch back into the ring and wraps her leg around the bottom rope in the corner. She breaks on the 3 count. Natalya then goes back and starts stomping the knee to set up for the sharpshooter. Natalya with a leg lock to get Lynch back towards the center of the ring as the announcers work in Natalya's family fitness of wrestlers and bring up the dungeon as well. So take 2 shots if you're drinking at home. Natalya with the lead lock as the announcers then talk about the history of the sharpshooter, and a Becky chant goes out from the crowd to encourage Lynch. Lynch gets her leg over Natalya and goes for the disarmer, but Natalya quickly gets out of the move. Natalya sweeps the leg to get Lynch back down. Natalya goes to work on the leg. Lynch trying to get back to her feet and get away from Natalya, but having trouble. Natalya pulls Lynch to the center of the ring and goes to work on Lynch with a leg lock. Lynch responding with forearms to try to get out of the hold. Natalya responds by yanking the legs apart. She then picks Lynch up, only to slap her back down. She doesn't move and then bows to the crowd. She goes to an ankle lock on Lynch. Lynch comes back with forearms to try to break the move again, and the two are exchanging shots in the middle of the ring. Lynch gets out of the move and goes for the disarmer. Natalya grabs Lynch's leg. Lynch responds with an enziguri. Natalya rushes Lynch, who hits Natalya with a forearm. Lynch with some back elbows and a clothesline to Natalya. Then another clothesline and a back elbow, and Natalya backs away to a corner. Lynch with a forearm to Natalya in the corner. Then a shot and a back exploder suplex out of the corner. She gets a 2 count. Natalya back up and hits Lynch with a back elbow as she rushes Natalya in the corner. Natalya goes for a spinning clothesline. Lynch tries to counter into the disarmer. Natalya responds by getting Lynch down on the mat and goes for the sharpshooter. Lynch counters and goes for the disarmer. Natalya with a counter into a roll-up for a 2 count. Natalya gets the sharpshooter on. Lynch gets to the bottom rope to force a break. Lynch rolls out to the floor. Natalya rushes her to put a shoulder into Lynch. Lynch sidesteps Natalya and kicks her in the face. Lynch then goes up top and hits Natalya with a missile drop kick. She gets a 2 count. Lynch attacks Natalya with forearms in the corner again. The referee gets Lynch away, and as he does, Natalya kicks Lynch in the leg and gets her down in the center of the ring again. Natalya then puts the sharpshooter back on. Lynch tries to get to the ropes. Natalya gets Lynch to the center of the ring and Lynch taps. I was not expecting that. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon greet Dean Ambrose in the back. They say that they are depending on Ambrose to keep the WWE title on SmackDown. They said that Ambrose will walk out the WWE champion because he wants it more than his opponents do. Brian says he fought a lot of wars against the Shield and always worried about Ambrose because he was unpredictable. He is the best, and that's why he was drafted number 1. Ambrose says tonight he proved something to himself and will show why he was drafted number 1. WWE Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz with Maurice versus Darren Young with Bob Backlund. Young and Backlund out first, and Young is the number 1 contender to the Intercontinental title. Miz and Maurice out next. The bell rings and they circle each other. Young going for the legs of Miz, and Miz gets to the ropes to stop him. Young pushes Miz as the referee gets Young away. The referee looks a little like Nicolas Cage, and it's a little distracting, I'm not going to lie to you. Young comes back with a hip lock takeover. Miz up to his feet again, and Young responds with a headlock takeover to get Miz back down. Miz counters into a hammerlock. Young takes Miz down. He gets a couple of 1 counts. Young up and gets a side headlock. Miz pushes Young back to the corner to break the hold. He then pushes Young as Young lets go. Back to the center of the ring. They lock up. Miz with a kick to the stomach and a side headlock. Young pushes off and Miz comes back with a shoulder block. Backlund up on the apron to give Young some advice. Another lock up and Miz goes for the kick again. But Young grabs his leg and spins him around. He follows that up with a waistlock takedown into a front face lock. He rolls through while still keeping the hold on. Miz up and Young transitions to a side headlock. Miz counters with a wrist lock. Miz with a side headlock. Young pushes off. Miz comes back with a shoulder block. Miz off the ropes and Young catches him with a forearm. He follows that up with a swinging net breaker and a cover for a 2 count. Young runs Miz into the turnbuckle. Miz reverses a corner whip. Young gets his boot up on the charge. Young gets up on the second turnbuckle, but Maurice distracts him and Miz pushes Young off the turnbuckle to the outside. Miz comes out after Young and drops him on the barricade. Miz then runs Young back first into the apron. He then throws Young back into the ring and gets a 2 count. Miz with a headlock on Young. Young gets to his feet. Miz with a knee to the midsection and a side headlock takeover. Young struggling to get out of the move and back to his feet. Miz screaming at Backlund that he is the real Hall of Famer. Young rolls Miz over and gets a 1 count before Miz rolls back. Young gets to his feet and hits Miz with some forearm shots. He breaks the hold, but Miz goes for the backbreaker neckbreaker combo. Young able to hook Miz by the arms halfway through and goes to get Miz in a backslide, but Miz rolls through. Miz goes for a backslide of his own, but Young fighting it. Young up and reverses the move to get Miz in a backslide. He gets a 2 count. Miz with a brutal kick to Young as Young was charging Miz. Miz stomps Young. Miz charges Young, who catches Miz with a clothesline, and both men are down. A double count going, but both men get up and exchange blows in the center of the ring. Young with an Irish whip and a clothesline to Miz. Young with another clothesline after Miz gets back to his feet. Miz rushes Young again, and Young responds with a backdrop. Miz out to the apron, and Young follows Miz out there and slams Miz down on the apron. Young gets a 2 count, and Backlund signals that Young should go for the chicken wing. Young goes for it, and Miz immediately gets to the ropes and drives Young throat first into one of the ropes. Miz says to heck with this and goes to leave, but Backlund is blocking his way on the aisle. Miz yelling at Backlund as Backlund is forcing Miz back towards the ring. He gets close enough to the ring for Young to grab him by the hair and bring Miz back to the apron and into the ring. As he does, Maurice goes over to Backlund and slaps him to the ground. Maurice then falls to the ground and claims that Backlund hit her as Backlund starts tearing his clothes off. Miz goes outside and pushes Backlund down. Young comes out after Miz and puts Miz into the crossface chicken wing, and Miz taps, but the bell rings and they are on the outside. Referees are trying to get Young off Miz. Young finally off and looking shocked by his actions. WWE 2K17 commercial. Flashback to the rivalry that has occurred between AJ Styles and John Cena. 6-man tag team match. John Cena, Enzo, and Big Cass versus The Club, AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows. Cena out first to a massive ovation. Enzo and Cass come out next, and I've said it before that they are not my cup of tea, but they are extremely popular with the crowd. Even John Cena tells them to do their thing when they get into the ring. Their spiel goes on too long for me. I'm going to be honest, after a while I fast forwarded it to when The Club came out because I only had one life to live. The referee tries to get the match started. The bell rings and Enzo and Anderson start. Before they lock up, the AJ Styles Let's Go Cena chant start. Enzo says he wants Styles, so Anderson tags him in. Styles with a quick go behind and he pushes Enzo away. Another lock up and Styles with an arm drag. The crowd chants soccer mom to Styles. Another lockup and Enzo with a side headlock. Styles pushes off and avoids an Enzo charge to come back and drop kick Enzo. Cass tagged in. Styles backs up and Anderson tagged in. He attacks Cass with punches and kicks. He then rushes Cass, who knocks Anderson down with a shoulder block. Cass gets Anderson in the corner and slaps him. Enzo comes in and Cass throws him on Gallows, who would come in and then throws Enzo on Anderson in the corner. Face is doing well here so far. Enzo then runs and Cass throws him onto Gallows and Anderson on the outside. If you're going to do that move, that's the way to do it. Not 20 guys waiting to catch one guy coming off the turnbuckle. Styles then comes in after Cass, who lifts Styles up and launches him onto the group on the outside. Cass goes outside and throws Anderson back in the ring. He scoop slams Anderson, then tags Enzo in and scoop slams Enzo onto Anderson. Enzo gets a 2 count. Anderson up and stomping Enzo. Anderson gets Enzo into the heels corner and tags Gallows in. Enzo trying to crawl back to his own corner, but Gallows standing in his way. Gallows picks Enzo up and hits a suplex into a slam and covers Enzo for a 2 count. Enzo trying to get away, but he is crawling in the wrong direction and Gallows hits him. Styles tagged in and he kicks Enzo down. Styles goes to pick Enzo up and Enzo starts hitting Styles and driving Styles backwards towards the face's corner. Styles then picks Enzo up and drives him backwards into the heel's corner. Anderson tagged back in. Anderson with a running kick to Enzo's head. He gets another 2 count. Anderson with a headlock. Enzo with a jawbreaker to get out of the move. Enzo goes to tag Cena in, but Anderson grabs him to cut the attempt off and hits Enzo with a backbreaker. Enzo thrown to the outside and Styles drives him into the barricade. Styles tagged in and throws Enzo back in the ring. Styles gets Enzo down in the corner and hits him until the referee steps in and gets Styles away. Anderson tagged in and Styles then rushes Enzo in the corner and Enzo backdrops Styles to the outside. Anderson is the legal man and he drags Enzo to the outside. Enzo trying to fight off Gallows and Anderson on the outside. Gallows rushes Enzo, who ducks and Gallows hits the ring post head first. Enzo gets into the ring and dives to make the tag, but Anderson rushes into the ring and intercepts Enzo to cut off the tag attempt. He gets a 2 count. Anderson drags Enzo back to the corner and Gallows tagged in. Gallows goes to splash Enzo and Enzo moves out of the way. Cena and Styles both tagged in and the crowd goes crazy. Cena with a pair of shoulder tackles and a slam to Styles. You can't see me. 5-knuckle shuffle. Cena goes for the AA. Styles lands on his feet and Pele kicks Cena. Styles up and knocks Enzo off the apron and goes for the Styles Clash, but Enzo breaks up the attempt and hits Styles with a spinning DDT. Anderson comes in and hits Enzo with a spine buster. Cass in and hits Anderson with a fallaway slam, and it looks like everyone is trying to get their stuff in. With that in mind, Gallows comes in and hits a sit-out powerbomb on Cass. Gallows and Cena start the battle. Enzo up on the top turnbuckle and goes to crossbody Gallows, but Gallows ducks and Enzo hits Cena instead. Cena rolls through and comes up holding Enzo and uses him as a battering ram to Gallows. Gallows tosses Enzo out of the way as Styles gets on the top turnbuckle to hit Cena with a phenomenal forearm, but Cena ducks and he hits Gallows instead. Cena hits the AA on Styles, but Anderson pulls him off Styles before the 3 count. Anderson hits a spine buster to Cena on the announce table and turns around, only to get hit with a DDT from Enzo from the apron. The referee checks on Styles and then starts counting Cena out. Cena gets in on the 9 count. Styles hits the Styles Clash on Cena. Styles covers Cena, but this time it's Cass who breaks up the cover. He hits Styles with the big boot on the outside before getting hit with a double axe handle from behind by Gallows. Gallows throws Cass in the ring, and Cass gets Gallows up to go for the fallaway slam, but Anderson comes in and hits a high knee to Cass's back. Anderson and Gallows then hit the magic killer on Cass. Enzo comes in fired up and says he will take both Gallows and Anderson on, and the crowd likes it and gets behind Enzo. They chant, "How you doing?" Anderson rushes Enzo, who sidesteps him, and Anderson goes shoulder first into the corner post. Enzo ducks a clothesline attempt, but runs into a big kick from Gallows. Cena drags himself back into the ring, and Gallows is waiting for him. He rushes Cena in the corner, but Cena moves out of the way and Gallows hits the turnbuckle. Styles climbs up on the top turnbuckle, but Cena hits the ropes, causing Styles to crotch himself on the top rope, and then Cena clotheslines Gallows to the outside. Cena again goes to AA Styles off the top rope, but Styles is fighting back with elbows to Cena. Cena comes back and hits the AA from the top rope. Cena then pins Styles. The highlight reel with Chris Jericho. Jericho out and tells the crowd to be quiet. He then brings out Randy Orton. Orton had been out 9 months due to a shoulder injury. Orton's music hits and he comes out and says he's been waiting 9 months for this. They announced that Orton will take on Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Orton gets in the ring. He gets on the turnbuckle to look at the crowd. He then gets a mic as a Randy chant goes out. Orton says he spent 9 months at home enjoying his family, but something was missing and it was this. It was the WWE Universe. He then puts down Jericho. The crowd chants RKO. Jericho says that's all he has to say and you're going to chant RKO? The crowd chants it louder. Jericho says Orton should thank Jericho that he's in with the best of all time at what he does and the GOAT, Chris Jericho. Jericho says the fact that Orton is in the ring with Jericho puts Orton on a different level. He then says, "You're welcome" to Orton. Orton says, "Now, Chris, I'm in a good mood, but don't think that won't change. You might provoke me to drop your ass." They go back and forth some more before Jericho says at SummerSlam, Orton will face Brock Lesnar. He then shows a highlight package of Lesnar. Jericho says although Lesnar and Orton came up together, Orton has been avoiding Lesnar because he fears Lesnar. Orton says he's facing Lesnar because he wants to make a statement. Jericho says at SummerSlam, Lesnar will take Orton to Suplex City. Orton says he knows that, but it only takes one RKO to get the Viperville. They go back and forth some more, and Orton finally hits the RKO on Jericho and takes a bow. The announcers talk about the main event and the history between the men as members of the Shield and what led to the main event. Members of the newly split roster are shown watching in the back to see which brand is going to end up with the WWE Championship. Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon from Raw and Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan from SmackDown are introduced and come to ringside. Main event triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. Rollins out first. Michael Cole says that at Money in the Bank, all three members of the Shield were champions within the span of 10 minutes. But as we know, because I covered it recently, that it was actually about 5 minutes. Rollins gets a respectable reaction. There's an audible boo for Reigns when he comes out. He does get some cheers, but the boos are louder. There are cheers when Ambrose comes out with the championship. All three participants are introduced. Reigns booed heavily when he is introduced. Rollins gets some cheers, but Ambrose gets more when he is introduced. Referee Mike Chioda races the belt. The bell rings and the former members of the Shield are in three corners and just staring at each other. A loud Roman sucks chant goes out. Rollins puts his fist out and tells the other two to put their fist in for old time's sake. Reigns responds by pushing Rollins down. Rollins rolls out of the ring to get away from Reigns. Reigns comes out after Rollins, who runs around the ring to get away from Reigns. Rollins slides into the ring, only to get clotheslined right back out where Reigns grabs him and runs Rollins into the apron head first. He then runs him into the barricade before throwing him back into the ring. Rollins dunks an Ambrose clothesline attempt, only to be hit by a clothesline from Reigns over the top rope to the outside. Ambrose takes advantage and rolls Reigns up from behind for a 2 count. Reigns up and he and Ambrose circling each other and lock up. Ambrose with a waist lock and a go behind. Reigns pushes off and hits Ambrose with a shoulder block. Reigns runs the ropes and Ambrose knocks him down with a flying forearm. Ambrose goes to hit Reigns, but Rollins comes flying in, so Ambrose lets go so that he's not hit and Reigns takes advantage and hits Rollins. Ambrose then clotheslines Rollins out to the floor. Reigns takes advantage and rolls Ambrose up for a 2 count, but it was a sloppy looking roll up and he was halfway back to his feet before the kick out. Ambrose goes for dirty deeds, but Reigns responds by slapping Ambrose in the face. Back and forth in the center of the ring. Reigns with an Irish whip, and Ambrose ducks 2 clothesline attempts before trying to crossbody Reigns, only to fall down as Reigns doesn't move, and the announcers say it was like running into a brick wall. Rollins sneaks back in and attacks Reigns from behind as Reigns was going to attack Ambrose from behind. Rollins with kicks to the midsection of Reigns and drives him into another corner. Rollins stomps Reigns down in the corner. Rollins stomps Reigns and Stephanie McMahon yells out, "Get him," as she wants the championship for her brand. Reigns reverses a corner whip, but Rollins gets his boot up on the charge. Rollins goes up to the second rope to dive on Reigns, who catches Rollins and puts him on his shoulders. Ambrose comes in with a drop kick to Rollins' chest, knocking both Reigns and Rollins down, and Ambrose covers Reigns for a 1 count. Ambrose hits Reigns with forearms in the corner. Reigns reverses Ambrose and drives his shoulder into Ambrose several times. He then alternates the shoulders with forearms to Ambrose. Ambrose reverses Reigns into the corner and starts punching Reigns in the head, and Reigns covering up. Ambrose then stomps Reigns several times to knock him down to one knee. Rollins comes up from behind and yanks Ambrose off of Reigns. Rollins then hits Ambrose with a backbreaker. Reigns comes up and Rollins hits him with a reverse lariat to knock Reigns out of the ring, and Rollins then covers Ambrose. He gets a 2 count, and Ambrose up against the ropes where he is attacked by Rollins again. Rollins hitting Ambrose with a series of elbows. Rollins then headbutts Ambrose and gets him into a corner. Rollins with the corner whip, and Ambrose hits the post sternum first. Rollins picks Ambrose up and punches him in the head. Rollins gets Ambrose in the corner and then hits a running corner clothesline. Rollins then smacks Ambrose in the face several times. Rollins goes to the opposite corner, but Ambrose follows him to surprise Rollins, but Rollins sees it coming and drives Ambrose face first into the turnbuckle. Rollins up only to be met with a big boot from Reigns on the apron and then into the barricade. They battle on the floor, and Ambrose launches himself onto them. Rollins sees it and gets out of the way, and Ambrose lands on Reigns. Rollins gets up on the apron and hits a running knee to Ambrose as Ambrose gets up. Rollins grabs Ambrose and runs him into the ring steps. He then runs Reigns into the barricade. Rollins then rushes Reigns, who backdrops Rollins into the timekeeper's area. Reigns then goes into the timekeeper's area after Rollins. Ambrose gets on the announce table, runs, and launches himself onto both Rollins and Reigns. Ambrose throws Reigns back towards the ring and then goes up top. Ambrose waits for Reigns to get up and then hits him with a drop kick. Ambrose follows that up with a corner clothesline and a bulldog. Ambrose then goes back up and hits a flying elbow to Reigns. He gets a 2 count. Reigns kicks out and rolls away, and when he does, Rollins hits the splash on Ambrose out of nowhere and gets a 2 count. Rollins goes for the pedigree on Reigns, who powers up to avoid it and goes for a backdrop. Rollins shifts and goes for a sunset flip. Reigns stays on his feet and brings Rollins back to his feet. Reigns misses a clothesline and then catches Rollins with the right hand to the face, then another right hand to Rollins. Reigns with a series of clothesline shots to Rollins in the corner. Ambrose rushes Reigns, who hits Ambrose with a clothesline. Rollins rushes Reigns and gets hit with a tilt-a-whirl slam. Reigns goes for a Samoan drop on Ambrose, who counters with elbows to Reigns' shoulders to get out of the hold. Ambrose comes back off the ropes and Reigns catches him with a Superman punch. Rollins then tries a springboard and Reigns catches him with a Superman punch as well. Reigns goes for the spear. Ambrose and Rollins team up temporarily to double kick Reigns to stop him, and Rollins then hits Ambrose with an enziguri. Reigns then hits Rollins with another Superman punch. Ambrose then hits Reigns with a big clothesline, and the crowd is really starting to get into the match. The GMs and commissioners of each brand are trying to cheer their wrestlers back to their feet. All 3 men down, and referee Mike Chioda is checking on them. A "This is awesome" chant goes out. All 3 up and taking turns punching each other. Ambrose and Rollins gang up on Reigns and the crowd cheers. They get him down and the crowd does the Daniel Bryan yes chant. Ambrose and Rollins appear to be going for the Shield powerbomb on Reigns, but Reigns fights them off. Reigns hitting Rollins only to get hit from behind by a high knee from Ambrose that knocks Reigns out of the center to the floor. Ambrose then runs and hits a suicide dive to Reigns and runs him into the announce desk. Rollins follows that up by hitting a cannonball to knock Reigns down. Reigns down, and Rollins and Ambrose are just staring at each other. Rollins and Ambrose powerbomb Reigns through the Spanish announce table. Rollins then pulls a chair out from under the ring and hits Ambrose with it from behind. Rollins then comes over and hits Reigns with the chair. Rollins then throws Ambrose back in the ring. Rollins at first goes for the pedigree, but changes his mind and goes for the buckle bomb. But Ambrose counters with a modified Hurricane Rana. Ambrose goes up top, but Rollins back to his feet and goes up top as well and hits a superplex. Floats over Ambrose and hits the Falcon's Arrow. He gets a close 2 count. The crowd can't believe it as a "This is awesome" chant goes out again. Rollins goes for the pedigree again. Ambrose counters and catapults Rollins into the corner, but Rollins lands on his feet and goes up top and gets caught by Ambrose. Ambrose climbs up and goes for a superplex, but Reigns comes from behind and hits Ambrose with a powerbomb. Rollins jumps off the top rope, but gets met with a kick from Reigns as he comes down. Reigns then does a sit-out powerbomb on Rollins and gets a close 2 count. Rollins rolls out to the floor, and Reigns crawls to the corner and uses the ropes to pull himself up. He goes to Superman punch Ambrose. Ambrose ducks the shot and goes for Dirty D's. Reigns quickly gets away before Ambrose can hit the move. Reigns goes for the Razor's Edge, but Ambrose slips out. Ambrose hooks the arm and gets a backslide for a 2 count. Reigns comes back with a big right hand and a Superman punch. Ambrose falls to the outside, though, and Rollins comes up from behind Reigns and grabs him. Rollins hits the pedigree and covers Reigns, but Reigns kicks out right before the 3 count. Those at ringside, the crowd, and the wrestlers can't believe it. Rollins goes for another pedigree, and Reigns just lifts Rollins up to block the move through sheer power. Rollins shifts and gets Reigns up and hits him with a buckle bomb. Reigns comes back with a Superman punch and gets a spear. Ambrose comes in and hits dirty deeds on Reigns before he can cover Rollins. Ambrose then pins Reigns to retain the championship. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan run around the ring celebrating that the WWE Championship is coming to SmackDown. Stephanie and Mick look crestfallen. The two locker rooms are shown reacting to the news. Shane and Daniel Bryan come in and congratulate Ambrose. They review what happened as the SmackDown roster comes out to celebrate Ambrose retaining, and they sign off from Washington, D.C. Final thoughts. This was an excellent show with the Owens and Zayn match as well as the main event being the matches of the night and setting up things for SummerSlam. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHairs. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.